Good afternoon. I've been at Meta nearly 6 years, and before that, I was an original Kickstarter backer, and I've been to every Connect conference. I'm a developer relations engineer here at Meta, and I help developers like you bring your titles to our headsets. This morning, Mark Zuckerberg introduced our latest headset, the Meta Quest 3S. At $299.99, this represents an affordable new entry point for users interested in virtual experiences with all the power of a Quest 3 at the former price of a Quest 2. That's a simple enough way to look at it, but what are the details of the Quest 3S and how does it fit in with the rest of the Quest portfolio? This is what I'm here today to discuss. I'm excited to walk you through a more detailed overview of the Meta Quest 3S headset and what you should keep in mind as you're developing for it and the Quest 3. This headset truly brings the power and performance of the Meta Quest 3 to a much larger audience by virtue of a lower price. With the Meta Quest 3S, we've taken most of the hardware of a Meta Quest 3 and paired it with the tried and tested optical stack of the Quest 2. The result? A high-quality headset that can run all the latest high-end Meta Quest 3 titles, while at the same time reaching the widest audience possible. One point to make clear right now is this. If someone has a Quest 3, they're set. They have the best. If someone is waiting to jump into mixed reality, though, or to upgrade from a Quest 1 or 2, the 3S might be the perfect device at the right price. Let's get into the device and development considerations. First, the headset itself. Performance, optics, weight and comfort, and battery. After that, I'll go into mixed reality, and finally, I'll touch on input. So let's dive into the details about the headset itself. Let's start with performance. The Quest 3S contains the same Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 and 8 GB of RAM that the Quest 3 has. Why is this important? Because these are the key details that ensure every piece of content that is created for Quest 3 will perform the same across the family of Quest 3 devices, both the 3 and the 3S. As a reminder, the Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 platform in Quest 3 and 3S represents an increase of over 33% in CPU performance compared to the Quest 2's XR2 Gen 1 platform. On the GPU side of the equation, things are even better. The upgrade from the Adreno 650 of Quest 2 to the Adreno 740 of Quest 3 represents a significant boost, more than 200% of the GPU processing power. As for optics, this is basically the exact same optical stack as Quest 2. You've got an 1832 by 1920, 20 pixels per degree display with a 96-degree horizontal and 90-degree vertical field of view. Just like Quest 2, you've got Fresnel lenses and the 3-stage interaxial distance, or IAD adjustment. However, the important difference to note here is that even with the lower resolution display, the Quest 3S still uses a default eye buffer size of 1680 by 1760, just like the Quest 3. It's the same resolution display as Quest 2, but it produces graphics that look a little bit better. In terms of weight and comfort, well, I'm happy to say that we've held the line here. The Quest 3S at 514 grams is 11 grams more than the Quest 2 and 1 gram less than the Quest 3. In addition, while the Quest 3S doesn't have the pancake lenses of the Quest 3, the key element that allowed us to reduce the size of the headset so much, we were able to shrink the length of the headset by 11 millimeters compared to Quest 2, making it a little more comfortable. Then there's the strap. The Quest 3S uses the same style strap as the Quest 3, meaning that all the strap accessories from the Quest 3, such as the Elite straps, are fully compatible with the Quest 3S. One other detail to point out while we're looking at the strap, on the right side, you'll notice there's no audio jack. You still have the built-in audio, of course, and USB headphones work as well, but there's no longer a headphone jack. Bluetooth audio is an option too, and will be even better with the low latency features coming with the upgrade to Android 14 expected sometime next year. As for the battery, the Quest 3S falls right in the middle between the Quest 2 and Quest 3 for size. Owing primarily to the lower resolution display, we expect roughly 2.5 hours of playtime on Quest 3S, slightly more than you can get on Quest 3, even though the battery is a little smaller. In addition, we've also removed the proximity sensor from inside the headset on Quest 3S. If you've ever ended up with an unexpectedly empty battery because something like the headset strap got too close to the proximity sensor, you won't have that problem with Quest 3S. Now, as for mixed reality, Quest 3 and 3S have the same 4 megapixel, 18 ppd color pass-through cameras. These cameras are in a slightly different arrangement due to the size of the 3S's optics, but they make for a similar quality MR experience comparable to Quest 3. One other key difference between the Quest 3 and 3S is that the Quest 3 has a hardware depth projector while the Quest 3S does not. This actually isn't as big a deal as you might think. For both the Quest 3 and the 3S, we're generating depth data when needed via software analysis of camera images. The depth projector is mainly used in room setup to generate a little more accuracy and stability on plain, untextured walls. However, with the Quest 3S, we've added a new flicker sensor light pipe design. This allows us to more accurately detect the frequency of power used by the lights around you, typically 60 Hertz in the US and 50 Hertz in Europe and Asia, to reduce the chances of seeing light flicker during MR experiences. We've also added flood IR illuminators to Quest 3S. These are used when hand tracking is active to improve the illumination of your hands in low light situations, making hand tracking even better. In addition, one new feature on Quest 3S is the action button. Clustered with the volume controls, the action button allows you to quickly toggle between immersive content and pass-through mode more easily than the double headset tap shortcut from Quest 3. Finally, let's briefly touch on input. For controllers, the Quest 3S comes with the same great Touch Plus controllers as Quest 3. However, it is important to note that the Touch Pro controllers do not work with the Quest 3S. With the Touch Pro controllers costing as much as the Quest 3S itself, we felt like this unlikely combination just didn't make much sense to support. Hand tracking and body tracking continue to work just like they do on Quest 3, with the small improvement to low light hand tracking mentioned earlier. In addition, just like the Quest 3, the Quest 3S does not contain any hardware for face or eye tracking. While we feel both these technologies are important for the future, adding them to Quest 3S would have made the headset less affordable and introduced some challenges in terms of content compatibility. So with that, we've covered all the major differences with respect to the Quest 3 and the 3S. Here's one more look at a summary of the differences. In short, all the performance of a Quest 3 paired with the optics and price of a Quest 2. So, what does this mean for developers? Well, first off, we're not splitting the content ecosystem. Everything that runs on Quest 3 also runs on Quest 3S. In fact, we're so firm in our belief here that device targeting, the functionality we added to our developer site to allow you to deliver different APKs to different headsets, just has one Quest 3 family entry that covers both the Quest 3 and the 3S. Now, within your application, you can still conditionally branch your code based on which headset your application is running on. However, we believe those situations will be few and far between. In the end, you can feel confident investing and building for a higher spec, a more capable machine. With Quest 3S, more people can experience the best version of your content. So you might be asking yourself, now that Quest 3S is here, and I can't buy a Quest 2 anymore, should I still be developing for Quest 2? The answer is, it depends. There are quite a few Quest 2 headsets out there, and we're continuing to support it. If your title needs to reach as many people as possible for concurrency, you probably want to support Quest 2 for as long as possible. One other point to consider, multi-headset homes. In families where everyone just shared a single headset, there may now be two. A Quest 2 and a Quest 3S, perhaps? We expect to see significant growth in the number of homes with multiple headsets, and depending on your app, this might be an opportunity to take advantage of. If you need the compute or mixed reality capabilities of the Quest 3 family to ensure a good experience, we do recommend focusing on the Quest 3 family as your baseline minimum spec. It's up to you to evaluate your resources and determine the device support that makes sense for your applications. That's developers. What does this mean for everyone? If you're an enthusiast or simply want the best of the best, get a Quest 3. At the newly reduced price of $499.99 for the 512 gigabyte model, the value has never been better. However, if you're new to mixed reality, a casual user, someone interested in experimenting with fitness or wellness, or are simply an existing Quest 2 user looking for an upgrade that won't break the bank, consider the Quest 3S. At a more affordable starting price of $299.99, this lower priced device gets you all the power and experiences of a Quest 3 with the tried and tested optics of a Quest 2, while still looking better than a Quest 2, thanks to the increased eye buffer size. Finally, the Quest Pro still has a couple unique features. Eye tracking and face tracking are still exclusive to the Quest Pro, along with some display features like local dimming. While the Quest 3 is generally the superior choice, there are a few situations where you might prefer the Pro, and for those who need it, it's still available. As for the Quest 2, we are sold out and not producing anymore. If you still have a Quest 2, you'll be able to continue to use all your existing content. However, as time goes on, expect to see more and more Quest 3 family exclusives. So that's Quest 3S and where it fits in the lineup of Quest devices. This headset is part of the Quest 3 family. We're not splitting the content ecosystem or creating a lot of new development work. We feel this is the right combination of price and value for both existing MR users who haven't made the jump to Quest 3 yet, and for those new to MR. In the end, it doesn't matter if you build the most compelling experience with the latest technology if people just can't access it. With the Quest 3S, you get both the latest technology and a large audience. I hope this tour of the MetaQuest 3S helped as you start considering your future development plans and support for the headset. Next up, Natalia Butenko will talk about the MetaQuest audience and how that's changing over time.
Thank you, Air. That was a great overview. I'm Natalia Butenko, Director of our Device Go-to-Market programs. And as we continue to look at the Quest 3 family, I wanted to share some insights about how our audiences are evolving. We will talk about the new use cases that we see in addition to gaming. We'll talk about the social aspects of Quest experiences. And last but not least, we will talk about how we're making Quest affordable for more people out there. There's a lot to cover, so let's dig in. I'd like to start by stressing how important gamers have been for the success of Quest. Gamers have always been the first ones to enjoy our innovations, and they continue to push us forward. And our goal is to continue building devices that delight our gaming audiences. Now, in addition to gaming, as we look at how our audience is evolving, we see some interesting trends. First, when we survey existing and future customers of the category, the data suggests that consumers with high affinity for multiple use cases also show increased interest in VR. And this is important because we believe that as more consumers see the potential of mixed reality headsets as multi-purpose, as the devices that can fit into many areas of their lives, the number of people who want to join the category will gradually increase. And we have seen this trend before in other consumer electronics categories, such as mobile phones and tablets. Now, the top categories of experiences that we see in addition to gaming are, one, entertainment, especially long-form video and live events, such as concerts or sporting. And the common theme here is mixed reality allows us to create those unreal, larger-than-life experiences that are frankly not available to most of the people in everyday life, be it the front seat at an NBA game or gigantic home cinema screen, wherever you want one. Then there is fitness. In fitness, we see two groups of consumers. We have our fitness enthusiasts who are interested in how mixed reality can help them enhance their fitness routines, either through personalized training or group classes. And then we have consumers who aspire to be fit, but who have lapsed for some reason and need extra motivation. Maybe they had a life-changing event, maybe they have their time constrained, or maybe they just don't like going to the gym any longer. Those consumers are more likely to exercise at home. For both of those groups, mixed reality could be a game changer in how they access fitness, how they stay motivated, and how they fit fitness into their daily routines. And then there is productivity. We're seeing consumers are interested in how mixed reality can help them to be more organized, to multitask better, and are curious about new ways of working and learning. We see these three areas will drive the most growth over the next few years as apps and experiences that support them become better. Another trend that we see is people considering mixed reality category also looking for more ways to connect socially with their friends and family. And if we double click, we see distinct differences by age groups. While older audiences have more ways to meet and socialize in person, for our younger audiences in their teens, it is more convenient and they're open and comfortable meeting their friends in metaverse. The social connection is often made through a social game or a shared activity, like what you find in Horizon Worlds. We're at the beginning of the first generation of metaverse natives, where these experiences will become commonplace. Now, when it comes to older audiences, social connection also matters, but it needs to be integrated into things they really care about. Maybe they're watching a movie on their gigantic home cinema screen and they want to chat with a friend. Or maybe they're jumping into the mixed reality experiences they really love and they want to share it with someone. And then if we look at the need for social connection at the household level, we're seeing more families exploring what mixed reality can offer to the household members collectively. It's still early, but we're seeing this more and more. Teens having game nights with their siblings or friends, one in the headset dancing or slicing, others around cheering, supporting, and then getting their turn in the headset, with the whole experience being projected onto the shared screen or broadcasted on the TV. And then that same headset can also serve some of the parents' needs, be it a workout session or a movie night. This starts to make the headset more like other devices that we see shared within the household, such as living room, TVs, or gaming consoles. Now, we see this interest, gaming, entertainment, fitness, overlap for many, with social connection themes throughout. And when we look at the size of the audience is significant. We have surveyed 10,000 people in the US, aged 13 to 64, who own a smartphone. And maybe not too surprising, but 60% of consumers had a high affinity for at least one of our core use cases. And 21% had a high affinity for multiple. When we ask respondents about their interest in virtual reality category, 28% were extremely or very interested. Another 32% were somewhat interested. Together, that makes up 60%. It's 60% of US population who's curious about what we're building together. Now, we have our affinity to the use cases. We have our interest in VR category. When we bring them together and look at the intersection, 41% of population has a high affinity for at least one of our core use cases and is interested in virtual reality. This is an exciting insight, as virtual reality is starting to inspire the imagination of more people who want to do different things. Now, as I mentioned before, as the number of use cases increase, so does the interest in virtual reality. Respondents with high affinity to all three of our core use cases also have a 95% interest in VR. And 64% of those consumers are extremely interested and have a higher purchase intent for the category versus general population. This is immediately addressable audience for Quest in a short term. Now, when it comes to productivity, consumers with interest in multiple use cases also over-index on their desire to be more productive. So by reaching the multi-purpose audiences, we are building to general computing over time. Now, to educate our consumers on how MetaQuest is changing, you will see us leaning into the themes more and more in our communication. If you have seen Quest TV ads over the summer, you will recognize lots of these themes, and we'll continue along the same lines in our Q4 campaigns. It is a fantastic time to be in mixed reality for our customers, our developers, and our creators. And you will see today and tomorrow during Connect sessions, we are investing heavily in the Horizon OS and our device ecosystem. Now, in addition to delivering experiences that align with our customer interests, we're also tackling one of the core barriers to the category entry, which has been price and the cost of the ownership. And that is one of the reasons why we're so excited about new MetaQuest 3S. It gives consumers who want to try the category, but we're not too sure about the cost, an outsized value for their money, with multiple experiences available for as low as $299.99. And we're pushing it even further by including Quest 3 family into our Play Now, Pay Later subscription program, which includes the headset, access to new content titles every month through MetaQuest Plus, and an extended warranty for as low as $19.99 a month. This is big. This makes it easier for more people to try, for families to budget, and gives them many interesting things to do in the headset. Now, to summarize, we see a category that's evolving beyond gaming, but where gaming is still an important anchor for many. Multi-use case customers' interest in entertainment, fitness, and productivity will become more important alongside gaming as Quest reaches wider audiences. And then we're seeing social play as the new norm for reaching many teens. And this will evolve as those metaverse natives grow into new shared experiences. Now, as partners and creators in this open ecosystem, there are many ways for you to imagine future experiences these consumers will want to have in the headset, and we can't wait to see what you will create. Thank you.